Everyone has thought, if Shrek were a zodiac sign, which one would he be? Spoiler, it's not Scorpio, but hold on, we'll get there. Today, we're playing astrology in the swamp. Shrek, Fiona, Donkey, Puss in Boots. Which one represents your sign? Astrology can be magical, but today we're making it enchantingly ogre-like. Let's go! Did you know Shrek might teach you more about your zodiac sign than your birth chart? Just with a lot more mud, of course. So grab your magical telescope, and let's find out which Shrek character vibes with your zodiac energy. Shrek is Taurus, obviously. Stubborn, homebody, and passionate about a good meal. Even if it's rat on a stick. There's no use. When Shrek sets his mind on something, he doesn't change it for anything. Ah, the Taurus stubbornness. And the swamp cave? It's the perfect place for a Taurus. Cozy, secluded, and with major do not disturb vibes. But don't be fooled. Taurus also knows how to love deeply. His story with Fiona is worthy of a Venus conjunction. Shrek as a Taurus is basically proof that even ogres need comfort, good food, and of course, a great love. Fiona is a Virgo, practical, organized, and always planning everything. Remember her strategies for escaping? Classic Virgo. But don't be fooled. Fiona also has a perfectionist side. Even in ogre form, she insists on keeping everything impeccable. She even tried to resist the chaos of the swamp. But, like any Virgo deep down, she loves fixing messes, including Shrek. Fiona is the kind of person who brings order to chaos and still has time to save herself. Does anyone doubt the power of a Virgo? If Fiona were a sign, she'd definitely be Virgo. And with ogre rising, of course. But wait, Fiona also has Pisces rising. This duality explains her connection to magic and her ability to adapt to the swamp. Virgo brings the planning, Pisces, the flexibility. And that powerful side of Fiona that shines like a true leader? That's her Mars in Leo. Fiona doesn't just fight for her place in the world, she commands the show like a born star. With her moon in Cancer, Fiona also has a huge heart. She's the protective mother of the crew, caring for Shrek and the kids like no one else. Sensitive but never fragile. In the end, Fiona teaches us that being a Virgo is about more than organizing things. It's about finding a balance between logic and heart. And with an astrological chart like hers, she's the very definition of a zodiac princess. Donkey is the perfect Gemini, talks nonstop, is hilarious, and always has an opinion on everything, even when no one asks. If Gemini is the sign of communication, Donkey is the official ambassador. He can even make the dragon talk. But Donkey also has that curious and hyperactive side. He's the kind of Gemini who can't stay still for even a second. Have you noticed how Donkey changes his mind quickly? That's so Gemini. One minute he wants adventure, the next he wants peace. If Donkey were a sign, he'd be Gemini with dragon rising. After all, he managed to win over one. Puss in Boots is a Scorpio. Seductive, mysterious, and of course, deadly, with a sword in hand. Scorpio has that air of intensity, and no one is more intense than Puss in Boots, staring down his victims with those shining eyes. But Scorpio is also a strategist, and Puss in Boots knows exactly how to use his charm to his advantage. If Scorpio has a reputation for being vengeful, Puss in Boots certainly lives up to it. Only the brave dare mess with him. Puss in Boots is the definition of charming danger, and with adventure rising, naturally. Donkey is clearly a Gemini. Someone so talkative, curious, and full of jokes could only be guided by Mercury. But does Gemini explain his peculiar choice of partner? Maybe astrology needs a magical supplement for that. Fiona is Virgo, but don't be fooled. While she planned her escape with surgical precision, she also had that sweet and empathetic side. Virgo is the queen of multitasking. It's totally possible to be a princess and a warrior at the same time. Shrek, on the other hand, is a classic Taurus, loves his peace, is attached to his home, and of course, has an enviable appetite. Swamp or castle, what matters is food on the table. Now, let's talk about the moon. Could Shrek's moon in Capricorn explain his initial resistance to accepting Fiona? It had to be something deep to get this ogre out of his comfort zone. And Donkey? He definitely has Venus in Libra, always seeking harmony, whether between an ogre and a princess, or a dragon and himself. First house, identity. Shrek learned the hard way to accept himself as an ogre. That's practical swamp astrology in action. Second house, values. Donkey's treasure, friendships and waffles, of course. A textbook example of a well-activated second house. Fourth house, home. Shrek's protective Taurus energy is clear. If anyone tries to invade his swamp, prepare for a speech and a good dose of ogre astrology. Seventh house, partnerships. The synastry between Shrek and Fiona explains why they're the most iconic animated Zodiac couple. The friendship between Shrek and Donkey can only be explained by perfect synastry. Shrek's moon in Cancer in trine with Donkey's Mercury in Gemini. It makes them perfect partners for deep discussions or arguments about onions. Puss in Boots and Donkey share a Mars-Venus opposition. That's why they bicker like siblings, but are inseparable in the end. Shrek has retrograde Venus in Virgo. That explains why it took him so long to confess his feelings for Fiona, a classic Virgo in denial. And Donkey? He probably has Jupiter in Sagittarius. That's why he believes he can be friends with anyone, even a grumpy ogre and a giant dragon. Imagine Mercury retrograde in the kingdom of far, far away. No pigeon messages delivered on time, witches losing their spells, and Puss in Boots without his sword. And Venus retrograde? That could explain the romantic struggles between Shrek and Fiona in the early days. Who hasn't experienced a Venus retrograde mix-up in love? Now, think about Mars retrograde. Donkey would have been lazier than ever, and Puss in Boots might have lost the charm of his sword dance. Jupiter retrograde? That would explain why the kingdom seemed to stagnate economically while Prince Charming was in charge. And Saturn retrograde is why Far, Far Away still follows medieval rules. With a touch of modernity, they could have had magical social media by now. In the end, Shrek's journey is about accepting his astrological chart. He finally understood that a Taurus doesn't need to change who they are to find love. Fiona learned that her Virgo sun shines in simplicity and the pursuit of perfection, while her Pisces rising brought the magic she needed to adapt to the swamp and life's changes. This combination makes her a practical heroine with an enchanted touch. Donkey realized that, with Mercury and Gemini, he was born to be the group's official communicator. Even the planets agree that he talks too much. And Puss in Boots? His Capricorn energy led him to become Far, Far Away's greatest adventurer, even with a few retrograde stumbles along the way. Together, they proved that astrology isn't just about signs, but about how they complement each other. And yes, even ogres and donkeys can have magical synastry. So, which character matches your zodiac sign? Are you a Taurus Shrek or a Scorpio Puss in Boots? Nah, in the end, we all have a little bit of every sign, and maybe a bit of every Shrek character too. Astrology is fun, but nothing beats the swamp's lessons. Accept who you are, even if you're an ogre. And remember, it's not about your sign, but whether you can dance as well as Puss in Boots. So, did you identify with any character? Maybe you realized you're more donkey than you'd like, or perhaps a Shrek with a hidden heart of gold. Discover your ogre sign. Send a message to the email in the description and get your chart done with me. Want to know if you have more dragon or Puss in Boots in your chart? Send an email right now. I'll help you uncover all the layers of your astrological swamp. If your sign were a magical kingdom, what would it be like? Want to find out? Send me a message to the email in the description and let's explore together. Subscribe to the channel for more astrological adventures. And of course, send that email to get your chart done. Let's uncover the ogre or princess within you. And remember, the universe is like an onion, full of layers. Reach out to me at the email in the video description to discover yours. And come back here for the next video.